So we reviewed SOHCAHTOA. So if you don't remember what that is, phone a friend. Okay, so
I got that.
That's the learning target, and teachers make mistakes too, so I had typos that I had to fix. So students will be able to ID variables from the word problem, translate them to a model, and solve an equation for the missing length of the right triangle. So the verb in there is identify and translate. So if you guys look at your worksheet, after we tell the definition of the vocab, you guys are going to identify it by underlining the vocab words, boxing in the math part of it, like the numbers part, and then like squiggly lining the question that's being asked when you guys do the problem. All right? And then you're going to draw a model with your groups that you guys will get into in just a second. And then actually in the third question, we're going to use the vocabulary as syntax. You guys are going to draw your own model and then switch with someone, and they have to write a word problem for your model using the vocab. But first, we're going to do the vocab at the top. You guys see that on your worksheet?
Yes.
So, the horizontal. Does anyone have a good definition for that? Horizontal? Yeah.
The thing that goes this way.
Yes. So, if you have to draw a picture of the horizontal, when you guys are doing these word problems, the horizontal is always flat, like the ground, or how it should be. So any line that's parallel, do you guys remember what parallel means? To the horizontal would be a horizontal line, right? So if you guys want to write that in your own words on your sheet, and then if you want to, you can draw a picture, depending on how you remember things the best. Okay, how about eyesight line for these word problems? Do you guys have any idea what that might mean?
As far as you can see.
Yep, so it's kind of like that, but for these word problems, it's about what you can see, but like if you have a person in the word problem, their eyesight line is like straight out from their eye, because this guy only has one. So that would be the eyesight line. So it's also parallel to what? The horizontal, but it just happens to be from the eyesight. Okay, how about angle of elevation? Yeah.
Elevation is up, so how
Mhm.
when the person is looking up or whatever they're holding
Yeah.
is going.
And also when we do angle of elevation, so you usually use a horizontal, because remember an angle is two rays, right? So for word problems and right triangles, you have one ray that's flat, and then the angle of elevation is this angle right here that we usually call theta. Okay? So make sure you guys are writing these definitions on your sheet and pictures if you guys want. And then lastly, does anyone have any idea what angle of depression would be then?
Down.
Yeah, exactly. So like a lot of these word problems ask underwater or a plane flying heading downwards, descending. So in that case, your horizontal is actually still parallel to the ground, but it's off the ground, right? So the angle of depression this time would be this angle right here. Does that make sense? Does anyone have questions about the definitions before we start? No? Okay. So I'm going to have you guys, I handed out the whole worksheet because this is what it would look like in a whole class, but you guys are going to get in groups of 3 or 4. And first you're going to do number 1, which I already gave you the information, and you guys are going to solve for the missing piece. And then for number 3, everyone's going to draw their own diagram, and then you'll switch with the person in your group and write a word problem for it. And I want you guys, when you write the word problem, to use some of the vocab that we've learned today. Okay? And then when you're solving these, we would have already gone over like how to solve the math in them using inverse, sine, and cosine. And you guys just have to set it up. You don't have to solve it if you don't want, because I know you guys don't have calculators. But just be under the assumption that we already did SOHCAHTOA and inverse before this, okay? So, get into groups of 3 or 4. If you don't remember how to do that, I'll be wandering around the room to help. So, you science people that subjected me to phospholipids
Sorry about that.
can deal with. So, get into groups of 3 or 4.
Right.
And first, yeah, remember, so, guys, remember when you're doing this for the word problem, you're underlining the vocab, you're boxing in the numbers, and then you're squiggly lining the question that's being asked. Then as a group, you're going to draw a model of it first. And you can draw just the triangle, you can draw pictures with the triangle, whatever works for you. And then you guys are going to solve for the missing side. Okay?
So if you want shark, swims.
Does he go down or he goes down?
Yeah, like, does he go like at an angle down or does he go straight down? I was assuming an angle.
Right, I'm just making sure he's going on the bottom. That's a good question.
Well, I think below sea level, so I took it as like he was up here and he's swimming.
So this would be, oh, okay, so
This would be 22. The shark is 6 or 7 feet from the sailboat. What would it be? So I said 67 here, but it could be because it doesn't have to say where the sailboat is in relation to the shark. You see what I'm saying?
So what's your other guess? Where's the 22 feet?
If the shark is 67 feet from the sailboat.
So, sign, it's opposite.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Because even though it's at an angle, it's still that far.
Right.
And then you're looking for this angle, so
So,
you could do
this is right. Well, this is the angle of
this.
depression.
Well, you need to
So
find
you
the
have two
hypotenuse,
options.
and then
You
you
can draw
can
the
do
triangle
sine to find the
which might be
angle
X,
there.
and that's your angle.
Right. But you could also,
The right triangle, but the right
But true, because it's
I was
tangent
gonna say,
too.
if you have the hypotenuse as 67.7.
So here's the angle.
Fine, that's why I don't know which one is going to be 67.
so we do tangent, this way we do sine.
And then
Yeah, I'm glad
shark's
it's
22
67.7
feet
means
below.
this one. And that
Because
means it
the shark is 67 feet from the sailboat. This is 67 feet from the sailboat that was dropped underground.
if this is 67.7.
I think they're both pretty, I know.
It's
They-
from the
they
shark
are,
to the
yeah.
boat, not the shark from the boat to the, like, underwater. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you wanted the 7.7 to be this way, or on the hypotenuse.
It's a hypotenuse because it says the distance from the shark to the sailboat.
Okay.
So shark to sailboat is
So
67.
not to the surface.
So it's not the shark's position on the surface to the sailboat, it's the actual shark to the sailboat.
So yeah, then you would do sine theta equals.
Okay, so before we move on to number 3, does anyone have an answer for the first problem? Yeah.
Well, I didn't do that.
How did the setup? Guys, hey, can you hear me? Clap once. There we go. Okay.
For the first one, we did the sine of theta equals 22 over 67.7.
Perfect. Good job. And then, does anyone want to come up and do the drawing for number 1 that they got? Alright, cool.
So we got the water here, and then here's the boat. Don't forget about the engine. And then we got.
It's a sailboat.
No, it's definitely a
They can have
motor.
motorized sailboats. It exists. It exists.
Yeah, but you don't use it.
It's getting into the, it's right into the harbor. The harbor's right
So here's our shark. He's
Where's the fish?
Good job. Perfect.
Man.
Awesome. That looks great.
I want to hang out with that shark.
Okay, so now we're going to do step 3. So I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds to draw your own models, like this. No words, just models, and then include either an angle in a side or 2 sides. So go.
Yeah, sure.
About a minute.
Yeah. So we'll have the person right here.
Okay, then when you're done with your model, switch with someone in your group of the right triangle. So just like the one you did in number 1, but now you get to draw your own. Yeah, it can be a scenario.
My kite.
So you're doing, see like this shark boat combination? You can do like an airplane in a building or like anything that you want, just a right triangle model. And then
So it's
switch
the
with your
angle
partner
of
or switch with a
elevation.
partner that was in your group.
So-
And then I want you guys to write
You probably
a
always
word
want to give them
problem
the
for the
hypotenuse
model
until they're
using the
comfortable.
vocabulary that we learned today.
And then you say.
Don't think too hard,
Say like
guys.
it's X feet off the ground. Give them that.
Don't get too into the model.
Well, yeah, so it's like 10 feet from where the kite.
Okay, switch. Where you're at, switch right now with your group,
Okay.
with a partner. and then write a word problem using this vocabulary that we learned today.